Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Lee, your family wellness chiropractor at Greystone Chiropractic. I'm really excited to talk to you today about research. You know, I'm kind of a nerd about the research in this profession, and I like to pour over a lot of this stuff so I know how to better take care of you and how to educate you how to take care of yourself better. So, one of the studies that I'm really excited about that I think about 3 months ago was published, this one right here, a new study showing how forward head posture affects your brain. Well, if you didn't think that the spine and brain and the adjustment has anything to do with better function of your brain, well, this confirms what I've been talking about since I've been in practice for almost 15 years. This research was actually submitted to the Journal of Gait and Posture. I highly recommend you subscribe to that journal. It is a scorcher. 160 participants were taken for this study. 80 of them had forward head posture. That means the ear is forward in front of the shoulder, and the shoulder should be in line with the hip in a nice line, and so should the ear, all in a nice straight line. So if there was a forward head in this group, they're in the forward head posture group. If there was a normal alignment person, they were going to be in the normal group. And what they found was the 80 participants, every single one of them had abnormal function, mechanical function of the neck. And it led to bad information signaling from the body, meaning the organs, cells, and tissues, to the brain, which means all you have to do is be a little bit out of position and your brain is affected immediately. And how many of us spend our time doing this, watching Netflix or playing games on the iPad or tablet or video games? You know, kids are sitting around, especially in lockdown, you're sitting down most of your day probably. The other big factor is cell phones. Think of how much pressure we're putting on our brain, not just the spine and the muscles, but the brain is being affected immediately when we're sitting in those postures. So the best thing we can do is start to correct that. Well, what have I been talking about for 15 years is correcting the proper alignment here, the proper curves in the neck and in the low back and in the body, the proper alignment of the spine, because it affects your health, not just because it will feel bad if you're out of alignment. So what did the first chiropractor figure out in 1895? He figured out that chiropractic would help somebody if they were out of alignment with things that had nothing to do with pain. This summary right behind me, this is a wall in our office as you walk toward the back by the adjusting rooms. And it tells the story of chiropractic, the very first chiropractor, his son, the first school of chiropractic, and then the first lady of chiropractic. In the early 1920s, or even before that, women were in the chiropractic profession from the beginning. So it's a very, I would say, unique profession in that we've been ahead of the curve, no pun intended, for 120 something years. And what the first chiropractor figured out, D.D. Palmer, is that if there was interference to the signaling from the brain to the body because of a misalignment, it could affect any organ system, any function, any sensory information. The first patient had lost his hearing 17 years before meeting Dr. Palmer. He popped something out of place when he lifted a heavy bucket and immediately lost his hearing. Could not hear for 17 years. It wasn't back pain, it wasn't neck pain, it wasn't headaches. He came into D.D. Palmer with loss of hearing and left after the first adjustment being able to hear, and within a day he had his hearing restored. I mean, he couldn't hear so bad that when you put his watch up to the ear, he could not hear the ticking of the watch, which, back then they had actual ticking. And now we have digital and all sorts of other Apple watches that make all sorts of funny sounds, but he couldn't hear any of that stuff. Moral of the story, an adjustment did not correct his pain. It corrected the function in his body and allowed him to hear again. Now, much like you might come into us with an ailment or a pain or a symptom, but my goal is not to take all your symptoms away, even though I want you to feel better. And I would be very happy if you felt great and said, Dr. Lee's awesome because he made me feel good. But that's not why I'm here, and that's not my wish for you. My wish for you is optimal function in your body, brain, body connection, nervous system function, which means optimal health. You can't be as healthy as you could be if there's interference to the nerves that control everything. So bottom line, chiropractic is good for you. Getting adjusted regularly, it's good for you, and it's what you need. And so if you have questions on that, you can always talk to me, but If you haven't been here in a while, or if you have never been here, it's time to call 205-981-8090, and we'd be honored to take care of you and your family. Again, I'm Dr. Lee signing off. I'll see you in the office. Thank you.